Hey, what's going on? It's X's and O's on the KFAN Minnesota Vikings Radio Network and also Vikings.com. And we have a special guest joining us this week. He is Minnesota Vikings General Manager Rick Spielman, filling in for Head Coach Mike Zimmer. We have a short week. The Minnesota Vikings play tomorrow night against the Pittsburgh Steelers, 7:20 on KFAN. And per usual, the show is provided by the Minnesota Lottery. Get pumped. It's game time. Rick, thanks for filling in for Zim. These short weeks for really personnel, coaches, players, everybody, they're challenges, but you play them if they're right in front of you, right?
Yeah, no, and our players do a great job coming off a tough loss to get in, try to get into the recovery tubs, try to get their bodies back because it's such a quick turnaround. And then the coaches, they get right into the game planning. And so it's a shortened week. I know the number one thing is getting these players' bodies to recover, a lot of mental work instead of physical work as you get into a short week like this, and the coaches do a great job. Even some of the younger coaches on last week are already starting to put all the prep work in for Pittsburgh, and then Zim and the rest of the staff come in, and they've been grinding ever since we got back Sunday night from Detroit.
Your brother, Chris Spielman, is special assistant to the president of the Detroit Lions. It looked like an elite catch-up on the sideline an hour and change before the game. I mean, you guys were down there chatting a long time.
Yeah, well, his title is special assistant to the owner, not the president. So,
ooh, I'm sorry. Maybe the president.
He would take that into consideration that is coming from you as a mistake.
I apologize. Special assistant to the owner, but nevertheless, a great opportunity to have a catch up with your brother outside of FaceTime, phone, texting, or whatever.
Yeah, no, it's great to catch up with him, and a lot of it's just talking about a lot of family stuff. My mom was in Detroit for the past 2 weeks. She went to the Thanksgiving Day game and stayed for our game following. Then she came back the next day, so got an opportunity to get some family time as well.
So how's mom handle that?
Probably one of the most stressful games she has ever sat through.
Yeah.
Well,
they hadn't beaten you guys since 2017. They hadn't won a game in a year, but you guys need it in a different way as badly as they do.
You're correct. And then, the first game wasn't an easy game either. And we had to come back at the end. So I give my mom a lot of credit for sitting there and at 80 years old, bearing through these type of games.
Yeah, you've done this a long time, and you've done it a decade and a half here. From Cincinnati through Detroit, and all of these meat grinders, all of these one-possession games, just everything right down to the wire. Have you ever seen anything like this?
No, it's kind of the first year that I've experienced something where every week it comes down, it seems like the final play of the game. And some weeks we've been able to find ways to win those games. Other weeks we haven't came through in the end. And that's the thing that's kind of been the theme of the season. And I know the coaching staff, the players are working extremely hard on getting yourself in position to win all these games at the end, but finishing. And I know that was a big point of emphasis with Coach Zim and his team.
Rick Spielman, General Manager for the Vikings, our guest this week on X's and O's. And other than 4 years in glitzy Miami, you've spent your entire career in the Midwest, and you're from Ohio. So these jobs, you don't get to hand pick them, but nevertheless, that's how it's worked out. What do you like so much about the Midwest?
Oh, I grew up here.
Right.
No, it's just the tradition of football,
Yeah.
If you want to talk about, it has great 4 seasons, love the snow. My wife's from Chicago, so she's from the Midwest, but it's just the tradition, and to me, Midwest means football. And if you look up in where we're from in Canton, Massillon, Ohio area, if you look up the definition of football, it says Midwest.
Yeah. Is it dramatically different in a place like Miami? I mean, their immortality with Marino, the undefeated 72 season, with Shula, but is it dramatically different in a place like that compared to the Midwest?
No, I think Miami had great fans down there. They really support the Miami Dolphins, but I know when football was born in Canton, Ohio, and you're born in that area, and you have the great traditional games like in high school, Massillon Canton, who's played over 100 plus years, the Ohio State-Michigan game, and just watching Big Ten football. And even us watching it this past weekend before all the championship games, you're watching Ohio State, Michigan, and you're seeing the snow, and you're seeing the crowds and how seriously they take their football. You're watching Penn State game, and you're watching Michigan State, you're watching all these teams. But when you get the weather element into it, I think that's where it becomes truly football.
Rick, I don't say this flippantly about the 5 and 7. I mean, it's kind of been my feeling the entire year with getting the offense and defense to mesh. 5 and 7, and honestly, it feels like you can win every game the rest of the season, but you also can be in meat grinders and maybe lose every game the rest of the season. I don't say that flippantly. That's just kind of the identity this year.
No, it's been like that way all season. It's you look at the Cincinnati game, and then you look at the missed game, and we're playing very competitively and should have probably won against some of the teams, and then Green Bay comes in here and we win at the end to beat Green Bay in here. Then we lose last week in Detroit, which was a disappointing loss. So, but it's the way of the NFL. How does, Buffalo, who I think is one of the top teams in the league, go down and lose to Jacksonville?
Yeah.
It's such parity in this league, and that's what these games come down to week in and week out. It's great from a fan base,
yeah,
but it's a little bit torturous as you sit there and go through these games.
All up and down the league, ain't no doubt about that. Your offense and passing game and the protection late in close games, it's been as good as I've ever seen. I mean, the execution with the offense and the protection, like Darisaw in his first start at Charlotte. Here comes Hassan Reddick with all those sacks, and he's tired, man. It's his first start, just throws him off to the side. You see it that way, the offense, and everything meshing cold-blooded at the end of these games.
Yeah, I think we have such a young offensive line, and it's kind of been a slow build, and we've been adding over the last couple of years. And the offensive line has to mesh together as one unit, and you're starting to see that. So Mason Cole came in, did a great job, and when Garrett Bradbury was out. And then, last week we had a whole nother line shuffle and put Garrett back in at center, and we put Mason over at guard and had to move ONeill out to left tackle. And you're seeing these guys play different positions, but you're also seeing the versatility that these guys have. And I think, as we come down the stretch and we can solidify what that offensive line is going to look like, I think it's really going to gel together even better.
With that Lions game, not making excuses in any way, but seriously, it's tough for everybody to get going in that building sometimes because it's just so quiet. That's not an excuse, but do you think it's fact?
No, I don't. Everybody goes out there and we all get paid as professional athletes and professionals to go out, and regardless, you go out and compete whether you're playing in a parking lot or you're playing in a full-packed stadium like we have down at US Bank, which is a tremendous home field advantage. But I think with everything measuring up and the emotion of that game and everything that happened with the Oxford shooting and the tragedy that community had to go through, had a lot of emotion for everybody in that game.
Justin Jefferson, not perfect by any stretch, but really none of them are. Just tearing it up. I think the last 4 games, he has the most yards in 4 games of any receiver in the history of Vikings football. I mean, when you're breaking Moss records like he did last year as a rookie, wow, what do you think about JJ?
Yeah, no, he continues to get better week in and week out. And the thing that was very impressive last week is when we lost Adam Thielen on that first series to an ankle sprain, they focused on Justin Jefferson, and he still was able to get open. Kurt threw him some tremendous balls, very accurate, but it's hard to really try to hone in on him because he is so talented that he's going to beat some double coverage. He's going to get behind the secondary on deep throws. He's going to make plays when you hit him underneath. He's such a unique route runner where he can separate in and out of his cuts, and he has that ornate ability to separate and catch the ball and get it upfield.
I know you're not a best or worst ever kind of guy. You've just never been like that. But that 2020 wide receiver draft, it legitimately might be the best in the history of the NFL. I mean, all the way back to like Darnell Mooney and receivers taken in round 6 and 7. And you got, as of now, the best of the bunch in Justin Jefferson. The Steelers got Chase Claypool, 9 touchdowns last year. I think he ran in 1 or 2. With Chase, how much did you scout him into the draft last year? What do you think?
Yeah, no, he's a tremendous receiver, very big physical receiver. He has straight line speed down the field. He's a guy that's going to go up in contested situations and be able to bring the ball down. He's a strong runner after the catch, and the thing he probably doesn't get enough credit for is how physical he is as a blocker. And the Steelers like to establish a run, especially with the rookie running back Harris that they drafted in the first round this year. And he's a critical part of that offense, not only in the passing game, but getting the run game going.
Ben Roethlisberger, 39 years of age. It's reported that this is his last season. I believe it. It's certainly going to galvanize and motivate their team. They beat Baltimore to kind of make a run at the end of the year. But just following Ben from afar, what do you think?
No, he's had a tremendous career. He's a future Hall of Famer. I remember scouting him. The first time I saw him play live was at the MAC Championship in Bowling Green, Ohio.
Wow.
And we had to sit in a tent, and it was the coldest game I ever sat through.
Wow.
And saw him out there pregame and throwing the ball 70 yards in the air with ease. And you knew this kid had something special to him when he came out. I remember the knock on him, well, he didn't have a great combine that year, but his ability to throw the ball, his size, his unique athletic traits. Now the older these guys get, they rely on their smarts and their quarterback and their vet savvy, because they've probably seen everything twice over on the defenses that they face. But he had such a unique career and a Hall of Fame, one of the top quarterbacks that has ever came out.
And you've seen everything 100 times over, and you mesh the combine and the film for like draft. Okay, so say somebody you kind of like on film, but you got questions, and then they cut loose with a 40 or something at the combine that opens a lot of eyes. How do you balance that when you're drafting players?
You still have to go with what you see on tape, but you're also betting, and a lot of times what we do, especially on Saturdays, is betting on this guy has some unique physical traits. Can we coach him? Does he have enough upside? Where's he going to be 2 or 3 years from now?
Yeah.
And those are some of the guys that we kind of look for, because I know our coaches are going to work with and try to develop them and make them the best players they can be.
Rick, isn't that one of the more fascinating things with the NFL? I mean, whether it's Marcus Sherrills or Adam Thielen, where they had to try out just to get to rookie camp, then get to
C.J. Ham, but go on.
C.J. Ham, that's another great one. And we saw one last week. I don't know what his route was, but the rookie, the corner 39, Jerry Jacobs from Arkansas. It's like,
right.
I'm doing a little work on him into the game. Certainly not like you guys. I'm like, holy cow. This guy can play, and that happens so much in the NFL.
Undersized corner, but he plays with such a competitive spirit, and he's not going to let whoever he's going against, he thinks he's the best player on the field. And when you get a guy, I don't want to classify him as an overachiever, but when you get a guy that plays with that much heart, you have a pretty good chance that he's going to be a successful player for you. How
often do you watch road games in the press box? And why I ask is because these games are meat grinders. How do you contain your emotions?
I've got a system that I do every game that I take notes on every play.
Yeah. In the press box, on the road, with the media.
On the road or wherever.
Wow.
Yeah. Now I put headphones on because I can't, you're supposed to be quiet.
What are you listening to?
K-Fan. Listen to the
really?
broadcast.
You listen to the games?
Yeah.
Oh, that's outstanding. You haven't complained to me one time in 6 years. It must be okay.
I was waiting for this moment, but.
But I like that. I mean, because you'll push me sometimes on something I say that may not have been right, not an opinion, but it'll help me get better too. So I appreciate that. But still, I mean, like at the end of a game that comes right down to the wire and you lose it, I mean, do you like bury your face in your hands, or do you just like put your notes together, get up and leave?
That's usually on the road games on the fourth quarter. I'm usually go down on the sidelines and.
Oh yeah. That's right.
So at home games, I always stay up in the box, but down on the sidelines in the road games, and just to, it's unique to just experience that sensation. I know for as high as the highs are and as low as the lows are, you can't get that, in my opinion, in anything else that you do.
Oh, for sure.
When I got married, that was great, and I had the highs that day, and still have them today. Happily married for 33 years now, but. Those are things, as hard as those losses are, but it makes those wins just that much more special.
Brian ONeill, he's not perfect, but he's one of, if not the most consistent guys on the squad year after year. I mean, what do you love about Brian?
The fact that he's so consistent, and I write reports up on these players every week. Every player that plays gets a grade and gets a report. And I go back and look at what I've written on Brian ONeill. Now, he's improved each year, but he's to the point where I almost say the same thing every week. He's solid in pass protection, rarely gets beat. You can put him in one-on-one situations a lot of times without having to give him chip help, things like that, depending on what the game plan is. And he's a consistent run blocker. The other thing I think he doesn't get enough credit for is his ability and his athletic ability out in space. And he has just become better and better every year, where he's probably, in our opinion, one of the most consistent right tackles in the league right now.
And I know the Virginia Tech rookie Christian Darrisaw is nicked up right now, but just casting your gaze the way of the future, if they both stay healthy, Darrisaw and ONeill, what a building block that could be.
Yeah, two young guys, and we were able to extend ONeill this preseason, and to have Darrisaw, who's going to be, I think, a very special player by the time it's said and done. To have those two bookends on your offensive line is critical.
Thursday night football, in my opinion, is awful on many levels, and I understand why the NFL does it, but Thursday night football, what do you think?
I think it's going to be one of the most electric atmospheres that we're going to play in this year at US Bank Stadium.
No doubt.
It's a night game, prime time, the only game on TV that week on that day.
Okay.
So I think it is special.
No, it's fantastic. There's no doubt about it. But it's the players and the coaches, maybe personnel people, you know, you get some days off after it. So like this stage of the season with the Thursday night football game, players and coaches, do the days off and the decompression there outweigh the sprint, the unreasonable sprint to get to this game?
Well, unreasonable sprint or not, all 32 teams have to do it. And it worked out as well for our schedule because we had to buy earlier, and this is like a mini buy. So when we win on Sunday against the Steelers, we'll get a couple of days off, just like a mini bye. We got an extra day because we don't play till Monday night in Chicago the following week.
Yeah.
And then let's see what happens through the rest of the season.
Time for two more. How far down the road are you on 2022 rookie prospects right now?
We're getting most of our grades in now. I've probably have seen 20 schools in person. Probably has written up close to 150 prospects. So we're right on track with our process. You know, we'll start our meetings here in January and February. So no matter what happens with the team, and our calendar never changes year in and year out. We have to stay on schedule and on task because we got the All-Star games coming up. I'm probably going to try to get a couple bowl games if I can, Senior Bowl, Combine. And so that whole process is pretty set in stone on how we handle it.
Off the 2021 draft, what is the long play with the third rounders, specifically Kellen Mond, Patrick Jones, and Wyatt Davis? Like, what do you anticipate the long play is with them?
I think you just got to be patient with these. They're going to get their opportunities. I know last year, KJ Osborne didn't get much of a chance, and then this year, all of a sudden, something clicked on him, and you know, he made some big plays for us all year, and made some big plays for us in the second half against Detroit that got us back in the game.
Yep.
Critical catch in the end zone, laying out for that.
They're all over the place. Speaking of Detroit, he's out for the year now, but that Quintez Cephas, you didn't hear much from him his first year. I know he's out, but holy cow, was he good into your guys' game?
Yeah, no, and you're seeing like the Blake Lynches of the world who end up having 2 sacks, who didn't play much last year, and he's going into the second
Kenny
year.
Willekes.
Yeah, Kenny Willekes was on practice squad. So all these guys, not all of them are going to be first-round talent, come in and be ready to go right away. And that's what you're hoping with the development plan that you have in place for them, that they keep coming along, and by year 2, year 3, you start to see it all come together.
Best of luck against the Steelers.
I have one question for you before we leave.
Yeah, is it hair related?
It's trivia related.
Okay.
So
if it's not enhanced protocol or my hair, I'm in.
Okay. You consider yourself a Minnesota Viking trivia guy, would you not?
I'll take my chances.
Okay.
Give it to me.
When was the last time we played the Pittsburgh Steelers at home?
That would be not London in 2013, 09, Adrian trucked William Gay. I would say 05.
That is correct.
Yes, Minnesota Vikings trivia guy in the house. Maybe that's a harbinger for a victory on Thursday
If
night.
you take that earpiece out that someone gave you that answer with, it would be a lot more enthusiastic about getting the correct answer, sir.
I'm always enthusiastic when I know I get to do radio or TV with you. Thank you very much, and happy holidays, Mr. Rick Spielman.
To you as well.